Mr. Gorbachev, open this gate.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Welcome to Declaration of Independence with Patrick Rooney, where we discuss how to become more independent in a world that is moving quickly to take away your freedom. Welcome to Declaration of Independence with Patrick Rooney. I am your host, and we're going to have a special show today with a good guy, as far as I'm concerned. He's a good, decent man, Kerry Smith, and he's running for county commissioner here in Santa Rosa County, Florida, and a very interesting race, and he's got a lot of things to say. I'm doing a series, really. I've done some local stuff so far, but I'm going to be doing more and more. We have elections coming up, and we really need to take back our country, but it needs to start with ourselves, as I've talked about on many, many shows. And it needs to start with our families. It needs to start with our communities and goes out from there. And too many of us are focused only on the national scene and are not focused on what's going on right in front of us. So welcome, Kerry Smith. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you, Patrick. I'm doing fine. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you, man. I first, became aware of you. I believe I saw you driving around with your truck that said "Roads Before Development." You got a big sign in the back of your pickup truck. Nobody can miss Kerry Smith.
There.
Yeah, there he is.
There.
I love that. I love the sign and the whole idea of roads before development. It gets your attention, that's for sure.
Well, so I want to in your face. It's an in your face. This is what I'm going after, and it's a tagline that it pretty much spelled out exactly to the development sector. I'm coming for you.
Yeah. So, this is what I like about Kerry. He's like no nonsense. He's upfront about what he's going to do. And I'm going to get to that in a few minutes about what you want to do in terms of bringing the power back to the people here. How long have you been in this area, Gulf Breeze, in this county here?
Well, I was raised in Pensacola area, and I went through all the way through high school, went through 3 years at PJC. And when I left PJC, I went off to Florida State. And then when I left Florida State, I went there for 2 years. And then when I came back to Pensacola, I was just here for a little bit longer. And then I took a job in South Florida, in the Tampa Bay area. And I moved into the Tampa Bay area in the late 80s. And I lived there for 26 years. Met my wife. We moved back here in 2013. We're fishing fanatics. We love.
I was going to ask you about that. I heard you. I was watching a candidate forum that you were at the other day, and you mentioned about fishing.
Right. Yeah.
And I guess you're right there where you can do all that fishing.
My wife and I both love to be on the water.
Speaking of Lori, your wife, I've met her. My wife has met her. We think she's great. My wife gave her the ultimate compliment and said that Lori is normal. in her world, that's the ultimate compliment. If you're called normal,
it's
like a regular person. She's like relatable. That's
she's a very down to earth, very good hearted, good soul.
That's
very, very connected with our church. Very, very humble. very, oh, good. I mean, I love her for a reason, that's for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, and I thank God for giving her to me. I mean,
yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Speaking of, you mentioned your church, and you've made no bones about the fact that you're Christian, and as am I. And you call yourself a Christian constitutional conservative, the three C's.
correct.
Is the being Christian or becoming a Christian, what kind of influence did that have over your life?
It's everything. It's everything. My profession in Jesus Christ is everything. I mean, that is my moral compass.
Yeah.
So that's where everything starts. God's first in everything I do. So I was asked that in a question by somebody, a big member of the press in the South Side. She had came to an event that I was at and asked me. She goes, "Okay, well," she goes, "after it's all said and done, you get into office. What's to keep you on this track?" And I said, "Well," I said, "to be honest with you," and I put it just this simply, I said, "I don't know if you believe in God or not, but it's not important to this conversation, but it is important, but it's not important to this conversation." I said, "But I do believe in God, and I do know that this is just a short time in the grand scheme of things."
Yes.
You know, just this 70 or 80 years that we're given on this earth is just 1/1,000,000th of a grain of sand on Pensacola Beach, and that still doesn't cover it. You know, we have an eternal life afterward, eternity. So I'm not going to sell out.
Right. That gives you perspective, right?
For anything to damn my soul in eternity. So that's my moral compass. There's, you know, 20 years ago, before I was saved, my mentality, what I thought, how I thought, yeah, I could have probably been bought. Now I can't.
So we're going to get into, I'm going to go through a number of questions with you. I want people to get a little bit of an idea of who you are. And I appreciate that, Kerry. And we're going to move into why you're doing what you're doing. This show is called Who Owns Our Elected Officials? Who owns our elected officials is a great question. And Kerry came up with that question, and I'm going to give you the credit for that because it is a great question. Let's get into this. You're a realtor, by the way. Okay.
Correct.
And I guess you own a couple of real estate companies.
Yeah, they're just small boutique. One's a property management company with a small portfolio, and that's people that live out of the area that put their houses up for rent. I basically take care of them and chase after obtain a renter and chase the renter for money. So, yeah.
Okay. Very simple. Now I know why your bulldoggedness to do this race that you're doing.
The other one, I just do some resales for people. So
okay. Very good. And you were on the zoning board.
Correct.
How did that go? How long were you on the board for? This is for the county. How long did that go, and how did that go?
I was about a year. I was about a year on the zoning board. I was on the Marine Advisory Board for probably 3 years. And then Sam Parker for District 1 had asked me to come on because he was having a hard time filling one of his spots, because each commissioner gets 2 spots for zoning board. So you have 10 zoning board members. When I came on to the zoning board is when they were doing the new land development code. And the land development code's the rules and regulations on how we develop the county.
Yeah.
So we did a retweak on that. It was a very long and arduous journey to get to where they were. And I came in right after they had finished up. And then this was when I started realizing, whoa, wait a minute. This is the land development code that they just did all this work to. And I started seeing the redactions in that land development code. I actually have a copy of it here beside me. But you look at all of the redactions, and that's what you started reading was the redactions. It's like, well, why are they allowing clear cutting? They took out the ban on clear cutting. They redacted it. And then they took out the 50-foot conservation easements. And these were, there was a new number of things they added.
Did they ever answer any of these questions, like why they allowed clear cutting again?
It's obvious. I mean, it's just more money in the developer, and it's silly because the clear cutting is what allows a lot of the flooding to occur. So, but clear cutting allows for more lots to be developed. So when you're leaving all of that conservation easement in there, and you're leaving a lot of vegetative sections in your subdivision, of course you're not developing it.
Right.
So there's no money there. So it's pretty obvious to see why clear cutting's a little better for the developer. They're able just to go in, rake all the trees down. They've got a clear palette to work with, and there's more money in the end. And
so is when you say the question of who owns the elected official, is it come down to that? Is that all it's about? In other words, the corruption here that you can see going on that we're going to get into more here.
That's one of the things that, when I started looking into the campaign finance, I started realizing that the land developers were contributing large amounts of money to the campaigns of the county commissioners.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the 2020 cycle, you had one campaign. You got a sitting commissioner that raised $112,000. I thought that was a lot until I know.
Who was that?
District 1. District 3. Well, I thought that was a lot until I looked and saw what District 3 raised. He raised $172,000.
Wait, so can you say who these guys were that raised this money?
Well, Sam Parker's District 1.
Okay.
James Calkins is District 3.
Wow. So Calkins raised 170,000+?
Right.
And
this is all public record. This is
right.
Secret. This is all for everybody to see. And when I saw this, I was like, whoa, no wonder these guys vote the way they vote. They're already bought before they get to the seat.
So how much of what they the money that they raise is percentage wise roughly is from developers?
Oh my gosh!
Is it most of the money they're raising is from developers by far?
Yeah, most.
Wow. And is that true for all of these guys that are?
Now, if you're going to donate to my campaign, Patrick, it's $1,000 max, and you can, and I'm just giving you a scenario. So you can only donate to me $1,000. Now your wife can go and she can donate another $1,000, and it can come from the same checking account, just different signatures, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So here's how the development sector does it. Sometimes you'll see husband and wife do it, but developers, as a result of their trade, usually have anywhere between 20 and 30 active LLCs.
That many?
Every time they open up an LLC, it's for that subdivision.
Oh, I see. So anytime they have a new subdivision they're working on, they got a new LLC for it.
Right. So usually they'll keep them active for so long during the period of time to, they'll do so many transactions through it. It's just advantageous. LLCs protect you. So each one of those LLCs can donate up to $1,000.
So you can have tons of LLCs and you could donate yourself thousands of dollars to anybody you want.
You got 30 LLCs, you got $30,000 right there. We're all able to see it.
Right.
It's been going on for a while. It just takes someone to draw attention to it.
But it is the same person though.
Right.
Giving the money over and over.
Right.
That doesn't seem
all kinds of things in campaign finance that stink.
Here's
the thing, Patrick. Yeah. You can see it.
Yeah.
So if you can see it and then recognize it and call it out.
Yes.
And that's what I do. So, in the past, people didn't call it out. It's like, okay, that's a little faux pas to go in and call these guys out. Well, I don't care. If there's a 900-pound gorilla in the room, I'm going to call out the 900-pound gorilla in the room.
It's public information.
That's what I started doing. Now that you saw in this cycle, look at everybody's campaign finance. You're not going to see that kind of money. You saw Ricky Cotton; he's taken 13,350 from developers so far.
Yes,
right?
I saw that at one of the
6,000 was from one developer, and they were able to do that through that. And I pointed that out, and so when I pointed it out in that one debate, he actually got braggadocious and says, "Well,"
Right.
he goes, "just so far, I'm
You're
going to
right.
take more."
Just warming up.
And I'm like, "Okie dokie." So, funny enough, after that statement, he's not been seen at the last two forums. So,
Okay, so we could easily say that you could say, well, there's nothing wrong with a commissioner going to get money from developers on paper, but if you go to the meetings, and you've gone to a ton of these meetings, and I've started to go to them, you can see a connection between
exactly.
these guys want to upzone. What do you call that? Upzoning, I think, where
Right. When you're upzoning
you
something,
take land of farmland or whatnot, and you want to like put a bunch of things on one property, and you see these guys who have taken the money from these developers, who are then voting on whether they should upzone that developer's property. There's obviously a conflict of interest there.
Really? Just it's a matter of knowing the facts. Okay, so you already know this guy's taking $20,000 from this developer in the past. Okay, it's pretty easy to see which way he's going to vote. I know that the commissioner is going to vote for this developer,
right?
And probably these guys are too, because there's traces of them taking money from this developer,
right?
So it's not really hidden. It's right there.
It would be nice if people did the due diligence that people like Kerry Smith is doing.
Well, not everybody's going to do that. And what I'm going to do is and that's my campaign. I'm running on that. Look, you want somebody that's going to call out the things that need to be called out, elect Kerry Smith, and be cognizant of the advertisement that you're getting. Are you getting that? For a county commissioner, is it very important that I'm a second rights amendment guy that's going to be shooting a gun and pro-Trump, which I am pro-Trump, but is it important that I'm pro-Trump as a county commissioner? I mean, no. What's important is what am I going to do as a county commissioner to get in and change things? Well, and that's why I'm putting real issues on my boards. That's why I'm coming out and I'm saying, look, we've got to get impact fees back in. We've got to make the roads before we make the developments. We've got to change the land development code to keep people from this inland flooding. That's what you need to be looking out for. You need to be looking out for a guy that's going to be telling you what he's going to do, not giving you a bunch of fluff.
Yeah, I think some of this stuff is kind of strange. And I don't know, and I don't have anything against any of these guys. I know you don't have anything personally against these guys, but just what I've seen, one of the guys wears a Trump hat even to the meetings. I think I can name who he is, James Calkins. Right. And again, I don't have anything against the guy. Seems like a nice enough fellow, but that does, as you say, that doesn't really tell me much about what they're going to do, because 70% of this county or more are Republicans. In this case, we're living in a Republican county, so it's not like, it's not like you're going out on a limb to say you're for Trump in this county. It's like, people like to see that. Yeah. But I heard him answer the other day about why he was taking a vote that he did, and he said he's something like, well, he ran on being pro-development or something like that. And I'm thinking, in this county or in this state where people are pouring into this state, you don't need to work hard to get development in this state. No. We're gonna have development. We're gonna have people. We're gonna have houses. We're gonna have cars. That just comes with it because we have a freer state than most, and everyone's running here. Exactly. The question is, what do you do with the development, with the people, with all those things once they're here? You don't be just. And I think some of these guys, maybe James Calkins is one of them, thinks, well, I'm a conservative, and I'm a conservative. You're a conservative. What is a conservative? Well, we're pro-freedom. Okay, but pro-freedom for who, right? Because if you're pro-freedom just for the developers,
Yeah,
but not for the people who live here
part.
already. Then you're not pro freedom for everybody.
Yeah, that's the one funny thing that I always hear is it's private property rights, and I'm like, for who?
Right.
Private property rights for who?
Right.
Not the people all bordering around and the rest of the citizens. It's just this one guy is the property rights.
I asked you before the show regarding taxes and sales tax, and so I wanted so people understand what your position is on sales tax and what it would be for, and how you look at it.
We're right now we have a half-penny sales tax. That's the local option sales tax, and that's on a timeline, so it has to keep getting reapproved. And they've been trying to approve another half-penny sales tax, and that's supposed to be the fix-all for all of our problems.
It never is.
Yeah, what we had in the past is, and you've seen Jerry Cooey out there a lot with his
Yes.
no new taxes, and it was a very righteous move because of the fact that the county's never really shown great stewardship with the money that
Right.
they have.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Taxes. And now at least we've got them pinned down to saying, hey, 55% of the budget's going towards infrastructure. So, okay, now we're working in the right direction because it behooves them to go in this direction. Now they're seeing all the pushback that they're getting.
Right.
But here's where it is with the sales tax. Why are we going to burden the citizens? And they keep disguising it with, well, mostly the tourists are going to be paying most of it. It's like, no, we buy most of our stuff here as a citizen. So it's most of us that are going to be paying the sales tax. So that's a tax. Why don't we, where is it where the development sectors in for their, where's their skin in the game?
Right.
Are they paying impact fees? No, they got rid of those in 2008. And I'm sure they're a little upset with themselves that they did get rid of it, because they would be in a very good situation right now had they not dropped it back in 2008, because you had different developers in the HBA going to these boards, poor mouthing and, yeah, we're going through a recession right now. It really help us if we don't have impact fees to pay, a temporary, fix here. Well, it wasn't temporary. We still don't have impact fees. And that's Escambia and Santa Rosa. Funny thing is, Okaloosa still has them. They didn't get rid of them. 47 counties out of 67 counties in the state have successful impact fee schedules.
So just so people know, we're talking about impact fees are what the developer would pay for the environmental impact that they are having on when they're doing the development.
Multi-tiered, impact for schools, impact for roads, drainage projects, all of the things that build a house, it's going to impact.
Yes, that's right.
It's going to impact us somehow. Just like when you still pay impact fees in this county. They're just to the water and utility companies. As far as the county, we don't, the county does not get any impact fees at this point. Now, it's not going to be an end-all fix-all. I'm not totally opposed to more lost funding, but there's got to be a trade-off. We need to get some millage rollbacks if we're going to start getting some more taxes on us. So let's do something to the millage rate, because every year we're getting a tax increase on our property. They may be keeping the millage at the same,
but the value goes up, the tax goes up.
Yeah. So they're drawing in more money. And in the last 5 years, we've been seeing gains at 9 to 12% a year, and that's crazy gains.
Yes.
And, it's not a normal gain. Normal gain is probably about 3%. We've got to give back at the same time. Taxes stink. I'm not a tax guy. I'm a small government guy, but we still have to pay for the projects that we
one way or another
take care of things. Right.
Yeah. In other words, what's been going on, when you say roads before development is your catchphrase, is basically developers are coming in, I guess, or they're more or less buying the politicians. And the politicians are going their way, and they're developing because they make more money. They're dropping more and more houses and so forth per acre, and without an idea of keeping up the infrastructure, the roads, and make sure the flooding is, there's not the flooding and all that.
That's a different topic, but it all boils down to roadway concurrency. Roadway concurrency was taken out of our comprehensive plan back in 2011. What roadway concurrency, and it was required by the state. Roadway concurrency was required by the state until 2011.
Meaning you need to have the roads in there before the developments come in.
Right. Your roads had to be to a certain grade before you could allow more subdivisions in. Okay, so let me give you an example. Let me give you a clear example. There are currently 1,586 homes on Berry Hill Road that are approved right now at this moment that are not built. Okay, without roadway concurrency, those houses do not exist until they're bought and sold, until they're actually occupied. That unit does not exist until then.
Okay.
With roadway concurrency, it exists the minute it was approved. So does that make sense? So now when you're going to approve another subdivision, well, there's this many current houses, and there's the 1,586 that are not built yet, but they're already approved. So they go into the count. They go into the traffic count. They don't exist until they exist.
In other words, that helps to make sure that you stay ahead of the game in terms of overcrowding and all that kind of thing.
It helps you set a comprehensive plan.
Yeah. Now, why did they take it out?
Well, the state left it up to the county,
right,
to do their own governance.
Oh, and the county didn't want to do that.
So what happens with the county if the county's bought at the local level by the local developers? You see where I'm at?
Yeah.
It behooves the developer to get rid of the roadway concurrency. Here's the catch. When you go to the state to get help widening that county road, the state sits there and says, well, you're not helping yourself here. You've taken roadway concurrency out of your plan. So that's where they'll deny the assistance fixing that road. This one of the problems you have with Woodbine currently right now.
Oh, wow.
It would have been fixed already.
So kind of an unintended consequence of not having concurrency.
Exactly. That's why it's so important. So that's what roads before development means.
Okay, interesting. I'm going to play a short clip of you at one of the, let's see if we can get this up there, at one of the recent Board of County Commissioners, Santa Rosa County Board of County of Commissioners. Let me see if we can get this up on screen.
I think that's actually talking about the alternative subdivision provision. Alternative subdivision provision is a new one. That's what, if you're familiar with the Jubilee neighborhood.
I heard of it.
Okay, that's 4,700. Let me get my headline here. Yeah, that's 2,700 acres. You got 7,500 houses are going to put on that. Now, what's interesting, that's an ag RR, which should be one house per acre.
Okay.
So that should be 2,700 houses, right?
Right.
No, it's 7,500.
7,500.
How are they doing that without rezoning?
That's a good question, Kerry. How are they doing that?
Alternative subdivision provision. Okay. What they do is they cluster all of the housing and the development in there, and then they cluster all of your conservation easement area. And
how are they able to do that?
Well, it's through the alternative subdivision provision. And if you see that video that's right there and you see the two people behind me, these are the Fowler family, and they are the ones that are spending tireless amount of time on doing the research on the evils of the alternative subdivision provision, because I was one that was sold on it at first because it's got some very good points. It's got some very good points to it. The developer comes in and they're responsible for all the infrastructure. Okay. And it's good in that point, but here's the bad point that I found. Now, and this is why you're seeing cropland going for $21,000 an acre. That's ridiculous in itself. $21,000 an acre for cropland.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's not going to be cropland.
Why? And what farmer's not going to sell out when somebody's going to come up and give you that kind of money per acre? The reason why is through the alternative subdivision provision, you don't have to rezone.
Wow.
And that's where the problem lies.
Alternative subdivision
provision. That's one thing that I'm very much against. We need to get that changed up. We need to get that tweaked to where we've got to protect our farmlands. This is a very rich farmland area.
Yes, it is.
North side of this county.
This is very important stuff, man.
Sitting here throwing houses on all of that land is
and you called it a loophole here, and we're going to play this in a minute here. I'm glad that you set this up because I probably didn't come into this thing properly, but you gave it the right setup. So we're going to play this little piece with you speaking here and see what Kerry's been speaking at a number of meetings for a long time, I guess. So, and I don't think apparently the other guys who are running, and we're going to get to them in a moment here, are not really showing up at these meetings as far as I know.
No.
Yeah. All right. Let's run this through.
Because now we have this provision. Of course, you guys are going to be asking for a rezoning because that's still not enough density for you. You're going to go for town center. That's why we're going to have another zoning board meeting concerning Jubilee, because we still can't pack enough money out of what we're getting there. So, and to go back to some of the statements that were made, what need do we have for FFA?
FFA is Future Farmers of America, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We're gonna push it right out the door. We are going to push that organization right out the door. We're not going to have Future Farmers of America. We're already in a food crisis in this country.
Big time.
And we're sitting here, we're playing into it. We're playing the same game. So let's get rid of the loophole. You said it was a loophole, and I like the fact that you called it a loophole because that's exactly what it is.
I'm pointing to James Calkins.
It is.
He was about to say something.
You pointed at James Calkins. He didn't answer.
He accidentally called it a loophole.
Ah.
And it was like a Freudian slip there.
You didn't want to say that.
Like, you're right. It is a loophole. It's a loophole to sell farmland at $21,000 an acre.
Wow. Okay.
So, when you're in these meetings, you only have 4 minutes to speak. So that's why I don't go into a lot of explanation.
Yeah, it's good that you can explain here, though. Give us a full range of what's going on. All right, let me continue.
It is a loophole. It's a loophole. Second thing I want to get onto is, and this was my main topic this morning, we have a county commissioner, and I wish he was here today.
That is
Mr.
Parker, Sam Parker, who also is a developer.
He's a real estate guy.
I'm sorry, not a developer, a real estate guy.
But he deals with developers. He does land deals and large land deals on development sector
that come up before the same board that he's involved with.
That's a conflict of interest.
And he's voting. Well, he wasn't here at this one, but I'm assuming he's voting on some of these things.
Yeah.
When he comes up, if that's not a conflict of interest.
I've been before the board and told him he needs to stand down or resign as a commissioner.
That is amazing. Okay, we'll keep going here. The old Jeopardy.
But I have a problem with Mr. Parker being the representative for a property owner to make a subdivision. As I would have a problem with you representing the county for their fleet service. Or Commissioner Wright.
They each have.
Bob Cole, he's a mechanic by trade.
Yeah, they each have an interest in something.
Representing the county for their tractor service. I would have a problem with it, and I think that you guys should have a problem with this as well.
They're literally
Because
shaking
this
their
is
heads.
not this.
What's that?
They're shaking their heads in agreement.
So if they're agreeing with you, why are they letting this stuff happen?
It's just
Yeah.
bother.
Wow.
This is bad optics. It's terrible optics. And like I said, I wish he was here that I could have said this with him sitting in the seat. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
All right. Pretty sad, man. They're all agreeing with you. And at least that it's bad optics, but there's a reason we call it bad optics. If it looks bad, a lot of times it actually is bad. And, okay, that's one of them. I'm going to play another one from another guy Jerry Cooey, who we mentioned earlier. And he's kind of a citizen, I guess, a citizen that just gets up and speaks on behalf of the citizens. And they don't like a lot of stuff that he says. Apparently.
He's a watchdog citizen.
There you go. All right, I'm gonna put his in right now, I think, because it kind of fits yours. Now he's speaking to the board when Sam is back. And it's a slightly different issue, I believe, but to me, all these issues kind of blend together because they all seem to be about corruption to me. So let me bring this one in.
Speech.
I welcome you to throw me out, and you'll see how it works out.
Speech.
Now they have threatened, I guess, at times to throw him out for raising his voice. Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's him. That's him and Bob Cole doing a little bit of jabbing to each other.
All right, let's continue.
Speech, not yelling, please, sir. That's all I'm asking.
It's my right of free speech. You guys keep piling it on and piling it on and piling it on, and you make it miserable for all of us. You absolutely could solve all this with concurrency.
That's what you just spoke about is the concurrency. Roadway concurrency. Make sure that those roadways are there at the time that they are talked about, so that you can plan for the future of having everything we need.
Because that's the key. If they built everything that's being approved right now, we would have a massive issue. See, that's why we're raising so much sand about approving more. Because if you just build out what's approved, we're in trouble. So that's what
they're really, as he said,
the red flags are up. You know,
yeah, they're piling it on, as he said. They're piling it on. Okay, here we go.
And to say, oh, we'll get sued. I'm so done with that argument. Care about the county you live in. Think about the rest of us that's here. Think about what we have to endure every day of our life. Think about trying to get an emergency vehicle down Woodbine or to my house, for that example. Think about the squad car that's trying to get somewhere to save somebody's life. You guys have thrown us down on this, and you just sit here and you keep pumping and pumping and pumping. We've had enough. We have had enough, I'm telling you. It's not right what you're doing. The time has come to put the brakes on this and let the infrastructure catch up to it.
Amen. That's what it's all about right there.
Yeah, there you go.
And if we don't start concentrating on that, we're going to have major issues down the road. I mean, it's going to continue to get out of control. And that's why I came into this race, Patrick. You know, we had 3 candidates that I couldn't get behind. So, you know, that's one of the reasons why I jumped in here. One of the candidates, he was the forerunner, and he was the first one in this race. Mm-hmm. His answer to that question just blew me away. Well, it'll work itself out.
That's Ricky Cotton.
Yeah, that's one of the worst things I've ever heard a candidate say. And I'm like, good grief, that's what we've been doing. And that's why, you know, people say, what makes you want to be a county commissioner? I was like,
You don't want to be one. You
I
have
never
to be
thought I
one.
wanted to be a county commissioner, but
Right.
I'm going to tell you what we need is we need a county commissioner that's going to go against this grain that we have right now.
Yeah.
Because if we continue to go with the grain that we have going right now, we have a major problem. And that's where, the head of the HBA, the executive director, his name's David Peden, and he and I are good friends. I used to be a member of the Home Builders Association. And they work together in real estate. But you see, he asked me after a meeting, he says, Kerry, I thought you were in real estate because I was going so hard against this development.
Yes.
I said, I am.
You are in real estate.
I am in real estate. That's what's making me realize that we're doing this wrong.
Yeah.
And the reality of these things, I'm 57, so in 10 more years, 13 more years, I'll be 70. I won't be doing this stuff anyway. But somebody's got to sell these bad decisions. And, right now you got people pouring into this state. They'll buy a cardboard box on a flat.
They're desperate people.
Yeah. They're coming in. They'll spend too much money on too little of a product. And that's, one day that's not going to sell. That's not going to sell anymore. And we're going to go, well, I wonder what made them build this. I wonder why they did it like this.
Yeah.
Well, it's greed. It's
money.
Greed. It's pure, unadulterated.
That's right. That's
greed.
right.
So let's get back to doing things correctly. Let's stop being so greedy. Let's stop letting the developers develop at the behest at the cost of the county.
Yeah, it's only common sense. And it's funny, I'm looking at the Coastal Conservatives put a nice package together where they interviewed you and they interviewed almost everybody who's running for the local.
That's where I said Ricky had answered that question.
That's right. It's right. It's written right on here. He said it will work itself out.
And I'm like, goodness gracious, come on, guys.
But
and then, and then you got another candidate that won't answer a question. He's not for or against impact fees.
Okay. That is Eights, right?
Yeah.
Now, Eights, I saw him the other day at a local meeting. Seemed like a nice guy. Seems like he's got some good policies and so forth. But yeah, he's not answering impact fees. And are you saying he's not answering other questions as well?
Well, he doesn't have a plan on the land development code. He has not even looked at our budget. It's one of the biggest things that we do as a county commission.
Yeah,
is we're going to be digging into the budget. I go to all of the budget workshops. I'm entrenched into this county. I'm working hard to get in there and make a difference. I'm not going to try to make a 20-year career out of this. That's for dad burn sure.
Well, it says your reason. Why did you decide to run? And it says dislike other candidates.
It says dislike other candidates.
Yeah.
I think that was.
I know it's not personal, but it's funny. You're basically saying you didn't like any of the other candidates.
I say it like I see it. Sometimes
it
comes out. I don't like the other candidates. So yeah, dislike the other candidates.
Well, and
I
nobody
didn't want to vote for one of the other candidates.
Right, you didn't see a reason to vote for any of the other ones.
I have nothing against those guys. They're just. I tip my hat to anybody that puts their hat in this room.
Yeah.
Because it's a tough job. It's
Yeah.
a tough thing to do, just to take the courage to put yourself out there. I was that guy that was out there trying to get other people to, hey, why don't you run? Why don't you run? You'd be a good candidate. I ain't running. There's no way I'm doing that. Yeah. And I'm like, God burn you. I need to get somebody to run.
Dang,
I'm the guy that's in the background. That's where I'd much rather be. It takes a lot of courage to put a target on your back.
Yeah, it does. And I commend you for that. And I think of the candidates, I think of like George Washington, who didn't really want to be president, but it's like he kind of, so I'm much more inclined to look at the guys who I can tell really don't want the job, but feel like they need to do the job rather than the one that really wants the job. I'm a little leery of that. Anyway, let me here it is, electkerrysmith.org. If you want to reach Kerry, electkerrysmith.org. And I actually gave a little bit of, just a tiny bit of money to Kerry, just full disclosure here. I saw him at one of the events and I just, handed him a little money just because hey, I think I like what this guy is doing. So I guess I have skin in the game, but I like the fact that Kerry Smith is an honest man. I can tell he's an honest man. He wants to do the right thing for this community. If people want to reach you as well, they can. You have a phone number, which you said is best to text at this number, and it would be 850-982-3287, 850-982-3287. Kerry, I want to thank you so much for being with me today and being with us on a Declaration of Independence. And this show is about becoming more independent, helping people to become more independent. And we're not going to become more independent if we are beholden to the developers. We're not going to become more. We're going to lose farmland. We're going to lose individual rights, and we're going to lose quality of life. And that's not independence in my book.
No. Amen. Well, thank you, Patrick. I sure appreciate you giving me the opportunity to be on your show. You're a great guy. And
thank you, man. I don't know how great I am, but I'm doing the best I can.
That's one of the blessings of running for office, because I've gotten to know a lot of great people, just out there meeting people. And
it is nice to meet people, even me, and I'm not running for anything, but just I'm supporting people and I'm educating myself, and it's been great. I've met a lot of great people. You're right about that.
Yes, it is. But
well, very good. And say hi to Lori. I
will.
Tell her to stay normal. And
stay normal, please.
And I'm gonna
tell Stephanie I said hello.
Will do. And I'm gonna sign out here. So thank you so much for being with me today, Kerry. God bless you, man.
God bless you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right. And anyway, support Kerry Smith. If you really want to help this area here, and if you don't live in this area, because I'm going to put this video out everywhere. I wanted you to at least know what's going on in the local area, because I guarantee you whatever's going on here is going on in your county, probably worse. We have a 70% Republican county here. And so, but even here, you've got money that corrupts, because human beings, it doesn't matter. People are corrupt and can be corrupted by money and power here, just like anywhere else, Republican, just like Democrat. So go to oldschoolus.com, oldschoolus.com for more information about what we're doing. Natural health, success, and freedom. And lately it's becoming more and more freedom. That's why I'm doing this show. It's more about independence. If you want to get in touch with me, go to info@oldschoolus.com. And that's it for today. Again, thanks to my guest, Kerry Smith. And we're fortunate to live in a great country that is under attack, but it's still a great country with great people. And we have a chance to expand our independence. We don't have to just put up with what we've been given here and just throw in the towel. We can live for ourselves, for our future, for our children, for our grandchildren, for the future of this country. Thank you for joining us on Declaration of Independence with Patrick Rooney. For more information on how to become more independent in a world that is moving quickly to take away your freedom, or to support this program, go to oldschoolus.com. See you next time.